Fringe.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day today as we move forward with yet another infamous live stream. I hope everybody's doing well. If it's your first time into the stream, hit me up in the chat. Let me know if you're new here. We've had a mass influx of subscribers this week, and I've got a feeling we're going to see some new folks in our community and new folks in our chat tonight. So if you're jumping in new for the stream, make sure to let me know in the chat where you're from. We have a lot to discuss tonight, a lot of things going on over the weekends. And boy, things just ramping up this week. I've been watching a lot of coverage of what's happening overseas and what's happening in the Israel Palestine movement. And I don't know if you guys have seen on YouTube, there's actual live stream feeds of the Gaza Strip. And a lot of the times when I'm watching those feeds, of course, it's the evening over there, when it's daytime here, and all you can see is this barrage of flames and explosions and fires, and it's hard to make what's going on there. You can see if you follow a lot of online personalities, whether it's Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, Jordan Peterson, even a lot of people picking their sides in this issue, and of course it's turning nasty. As even over the weekend, we've seen a lot of protests, even in Canada, on both sides of the spectrum. And again, as I've said, this is the reason why I didn't weigh in. This is the reason why I think a lot of people know my stance on politics. I think a lot of people know where I would stand in terms of this conflict. And I'm happy to talk about and report on these issues. But as you can see with guys like Ben Shapiro, I mean, they've just gone full bore with their side of the spectrum, and it's not really working out so well for them. Again, I've often said in those videos, the three arguments you're never going to win with somebody are religion, politics, and everything else. And of course, um, I've seen even close people that I'm affiliated with on online platforms questioning people like Jordan Peterson, questioning Ben Shapiro, and a lot of people that I stay in touch with, having very strong opinions about what's going on. And all I can say is that I hope the bloodshed ends soon. I hope that the casualties are fewer than what we're being told, and that things stay calm for those over here on Canada. And that's part of what I've always said, is that in terms of who I'm cheering for, I'm cheering for Canada. I think that we have a lot of problems to fix in this country. I think we have a lot of things we need to deal with at home, on the home front. And it's not to say that I don't care about what's going on over there. The biggest problem I'm finding is that we were told things about burned bodies, and then told that um, that's been faked, that it was AI that did that, and then we're being told, no, that's not the truth. And it's hard to muster what to believe these days, because we know so much about prostitutes in the media and what they say, and some sides that have even been credible at times are now coming off with false information. So again, I'm not going to call any affiliation out specifically, just that it's very difficult to, in this day and age, look at what we're being told and know 100% what is going on, what casualties are, and what mistreatments are going through. Um, it's it's hard to watch. I'll be honest. I've had a hard time going on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I've had a hard time taking a look at what we're going to be doing to handle that. Now, of course, Justin Trudeau coming out last week saying he has sent an initial $10 million for aid for those that are helping out over there, and it makes me question how many wars we're going to fund at home. But at the same time, you'll notice Trudeau hasn't said where he's sending that to. He hasn't really said if he's sending that to the Palestinians or if he's sending that to So it's I don't know. It's gonna be crazy times ahead when it comes to those events. And again, I'm happy to report on them. If there's things you guys want to know, just keep in mind that I'm trying to be very careful about what I'm reporting on. Of course, last week I had a video talking about a favorite channel of mine that I watch on YouTube called The Quartering, where they did a meme video about the way that CNN reporters had acted when they were appearing to be distant from the activities that they were reporting on. We seen there's a video going around of another reporter who was of course with a helmet, properly attired for being in a war zone, where she was standing on top of a building and a skyscraper behind her had a missile make contact with the building and go off. She was very distraught. They had to break from the coverage in order for her to catch her breath and kind of get a grip on what was happening. And it was crazy. And that was the difference again when you looked at the CNN video saying, "Oh, we just had Hamas come by and shoot up the streets. There was no bullet holes in cars. There was no smashed windows. People were casually walking down the street." And again, I'm not going to say what was real, what was fake, because I'm not there. But it was akin to a reminder of days like Brian Williams saying we were in a chopper that was hit by a rocket, and then them saying, "Oh no, it was the chopper behind us," to the pilot coming out and saying, "No, that didn't happen at all." So it's no secret that the media stretches these things. Um, it just makes it very hard when reporting on those things for you guys to decipher what's real, what's not real, and kind of where we're going to go from there. So I'll be very careful about what we cover. Again, all I can say is that I sure hope that you know things slow down over there in terms of violence. That um, no genocide is committed any further. That people are safe, children are safe. That's the key here, for me at least. That families are okay, and that this very horrific tragedy can come to a close and people can get on with their lives. Now, let me get caught up in the chat again. If you're new to the channel, or if you're not watching from, I guess Calgary, or if you haven't told me where you're from before, sound off in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Let's see if we can get every province in the country on the stream tonight. Derek Macbeth coming in. Usually I'm late to the party, but tonight I'm first to comment. Derek, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Great to see you. Stefan, what's up, unacceptable peeps? We are all unacceptable. Welcome into the stream. Great to see you. Bad anger management. I'm new here. That's my brother. He's not new here. Kind of new, but not really. Dano coming in. A lot of mixed opinions. Stay neutral on the conflict. We know what's going on. Absolutely. And that's the way we try to do it. Master Snatch, good friend of the channel, coming in. How is everybody doing tonight? Snatch, we're all great. Thank you for joining us in the stream. It's great to see you in here. FJT jumping in. Alberta beats Trudeau. Well, yeah, we kind of have. We're going to get into that. Angela jumping into the stream as well. I'm good. It's another funneling operation. Yes, absolutely. That's the way I see it. T Rich jumping in. They're good as well. Ken McRae coming in. Trudy the Clown appointed a special minister to protect Muslims, Hamas supporters, when it's the other side who needs a special minister to protect them from the Muslims. Again, I'm stepping back from that one. I'm not going to jump in on that one. People again are going to have opinions. I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. I'm just saying I'm not going to weigh in on that one. Patty Nelson jumping in. How you doing, Patty? Welcome into the stream. Great to see you. Angela's coming in from Edmonton. T. Rich coming in from Alberta. Bad anger management. Again, I'm new. I'm from BC. Yes, of course. Jennifer jumping into the stream is in from Victoria. Welcome into the stream. Thank you so much for being here. Paladin Craze in here as well. I believe that's the first time I've seen you in the chat. Welcome into the stream. If you're new to the channel, welcome into the channel. Trish coming in as well from Vancouver. Rhea coming in from Alberta. Man, we got a lot of Albertans in here tonight. That's great. Alberta proud. Happy to see Albertans in here. Vivian's coming in from BC. Welcome into the stream. Yes, Timo. Yeah, I put the pieces together, but welcome in. Glad to see you here. Patty Nelson saying the Israel thing reminds me of the Untouchables trailer. They put one of ours in the hospital. We put one of theirs in the morgue. Yeah, it's again really back and forth. It's going to be back and forth. Sun and Dagger jumping into the stream. Happy Sunday. Welcome in. Happy to see you here. Cold Warrior coming in. Hello from up north. There you go. Welcome into the stream. Vivian again in from Vernon, BC. Sun and Dagger, Romanian Proud. Patty's coming in from Northwest Coast, BC. Good spot of the country. I love BC. You know, BC is and Green Goddess coming in. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. BC, I'll admit, I was out there for the first time, kind of the first time. I'd been out there previously over like 24-hour periods, but not, moving around BC, seeing BC. Last year, around this time, I drove out to BC with my family for a little mini vacation where we drove to the coast, seen Vancouver. We went up to Squamish again and seen a friend of the channel, Clyde, do something, and got to visit with his family and see a little bit of Horseshoe Bay. And I really want to get out to Victoria next time. I know Jasper Sunshine has said to come up sometime and see his neck of the woods. I'd love to go and see more of BC because, my goodness, the thing about Calgary that I love is that we're only a couple hours away from Banff, Canmore, the Rocky Mountains, and when you get in there, it's just like you've gone to a whole different part of the world, even though it's only about an hour to 2 hour drive, depending on where you are in the city. But I found as you go into BC, like it just gets better and better and better. I definitely would love to spend more time there. I love BC, and it's a great place to be. Green Goddess is coming in from Ottawa. Welcome in. Deanna's coming in from Ontario. Thank you for joining us in the stream. Welcome in, Deanna. Little joke there. North Bay, Ontario. There we go. A lot of Ontario people too. New Brunswick for Stephen. Welcome into the stream. We got a lot to talk about tonight. FJT mentioned, Alberta beats Trudeau. Well, we kind of did, and I did want to get into that on this stream because Friday we had quite the announcement that the No More Pipelines bill had been ruled as unconstitutional, and I think that it's something really good we need to talk about. I wanted to pull this article from the Calgary Herald because this is one thing I'm finding in Calgary is that more and more folks are moving here from eastern provinces, which a lot of people have resonated that it's going to start changing the way ballots are formed in Alberta when it comes to our provincial politics, that this could perhaps be the last time that we see a conservative government and that we may see more NDP or more liberal as people out east are bringing those politics to the west. I beg to differ because I sure think Danielle Smith's doing a bang up job. And the reason I say that isn't because of any opinions of oil or any opinions of separatism. It's mainly the opinion that somebody who's running politics has stuck behind their promises. We've seen countless times where politicians run and they promise you the world, but they don't bring anything back to the table when it comes to delivering. They maybe bring one or two of their campaign promises or say, we're working on it and nothing really comes of it. But it's one of the first times I've seen a politician who's gone straight to work and done exactly what she said she's going to do and a little bit more. But we see here the Calgary Herald not too impressed as Don Braid, who's known as a leftist in Calgary, says that Smith is ecstatic as a horrible federal law finally gets trashing it deserves. Now, it's nice to see Don a little bit on our side here. Holy S, we won. That was the first joyous response from Premier Danielle Smith's circle after a momentous Supreme Court ruling that came out on Friday. Hardly anybody in the government expected victory over Ottawa's Impact Assessment Act. The court seemed stacked against provincial rights for years, especially after the departure of Justice Russell Brown. But a count of 5-2, the justices empathetically rejected the IAA as the intrusive, inconstitutional heap of parliamentary junk it's always been. Ecstatic, Smith quickly stated the victory dance. If you believe in fairness, common sense, there we go, there's the key word, and the sanctity of the Canadian Constitution, today's a great day, she said. She invited companies to start building natural gas plants again, presuming the decision cancels Ottawa's ability to impose net zero emissions on the electricity grid by 2035. Smith also concludes that the coming federal cap on oil and gas emissions will be invalid. Alberta will be under no obligation to adhere to it, she says, while still calling for talks with Ottawa. And that is an important part of this, is that she's still keeping the door open for the federal government to be reasonable. So she's not taking this victory as a smug flex moment. She's actually saying, "Look, I'm still willing to work with these guys despite their negativity and their unrealistic goals or requests. That hey, if they want to be reasonable, we'll come to the table." But again, it is a good thing for Alberta. Um, Trudeau Liberals are already trying to blur the decision, claiming that a few amendments to the bill will sort things out. No amount of politicking and message managing will change the core of the decision, they're saying. So, again, this is an own for Alberta, and it's good to see because Alberta, again, if you look at the money that goes through in terms of transfer payments, I have friends who work in government sectors in Manitoba that they're fully aware that they do get a couple billion a year from Alberta in terms of transfer payments, and that those couple of $1 billion help with their services, they help with projects they want to get done. And I've always said it on this channel. I have the I guess perception that most Albertans would feel the same way. That at least I feel we're always happy to share. We're always happy to that if we're doing well, we help others do well, and we're happy to spread that wealth a little. But the catch is that we have to be able to actually work. We have to be able to bring our product to market. And ever since Rachel Notley took over the NDP back in 2012, and then Justin Trudeau entering in 2015, it just seemed like blowback after blowback while both of those governments punched down on the oil and gas sector, essentially crippling Alberta's economy. I still remember footage of a parade in Lethbridge shortly after Rachel Notley was elected in 2012 when she was out on the streets in a cowboy hat and said, "It's great to see you." And the guy yelled back while he was holding his kid that, "Hey, I'm not happy to see you. I don't have a job to be at, so I've got nowhere else to be today." And it was a sign of the times that things were going to get bad for Alberta. And while projects have still been moving forward, they've been moving forward at a very staggering rate. My wife, of course, works in well servicing of oil wells, and they've been kind of up and down, up and down, up and down. I think now you're going to start seeing companies getting a little bit busier, not because of this win, but what this win is going to signify is that Alberta is indeed open for business, that we can take on investment, that we can do well as a province, handling people's monies and ensuring that their investments now are going to go to fruition. We've seen it with the West Pipeline, that the Trans Mountain that Trudeau purchased, where Trans Canada essentially bowed out of the project because they knew that they couldn't get any work done. And the government now is sitting on that project, and it's going to be interesting to see where that one goes. But hopefully, what this means is that if the Supreme Court is going to take our side, and I said this in the video where I covered it on Friday, hopefully what this means is that now when it comes to farmers and their fertilizer, when it comes to emissions, when it comes to what Albertans are going to need, or what any province is going to need, hopefully what this win signifies for other provinces is that they can get in line and push for the same kind of settlements as well, because the suggestions of these governments are out to lunch. They're unachievable. Um, I feel that again, if we're doing something that's negative on the environment, which again, Canada has a very low emissions rate when it comes to the comparison of other countries in the world. And it's not to say, we're perfect, because hey, if we're doing something that's bad, being the least country that does the bad thing doesn't mean that we're still good. I'd be happy if we could say that we were net zero while still maintaining our industry, while still keeping people employed, and while still using the products we need in order to move ahead as a country. Um, and I'm always happy to hear about new technologies and new ways of doing things. I remember the first time I heard about an electric car and said that, what, like a golf cart? Like that's never going to take off. And yet here we are less than 2 decades later, with Teslas being driven more commonly on the road. And while they're expensive, and while I don't think that they're necessarily the answer to the problem, I definitely think that they're a stepping stone in terms of us evolving. Um, when you look at the horse and carriage, and then the introduction of the first the first vehicles, if you could call them that, the old ones that people had to get out and crank the engines. Um, if we just stopped there, we wouldn't be where we are today in terms of technology. So technology is always evolving. I'm always happy to take on new solutions to problems, but they have to make sense, and they have to not only make sense for people's day-to-day uses, but it has to fit their lifestyles, and it has to fit with the limitations of what we have in front of us. To just say net zero, especially in a country where the vast majority of this country sees snow on the ground and frigid temperatures 6 months out of the year, minimal. Um, you can't run heat for people's homes. You can't have a constant flow of electricity into people's homes, keeping them alive and keeping their food cold in the fridge while maintaining this fantasy idea that we can just be zero carbon with the flick of a switch. It's not going to happen. So this is a win for Alberta and hopefully a win for the rest of the country. Um, it's going to be interesting to see again if Trudeau tries to push back. I'll be covering that as it goes, and it's going to be interesting. Let's get caught up in the chat. I know a lot of people have jumped in, and I've missed it. Let's catch up. Sun and Dagger. Trudeau should see my fridge due to inflation. I have next to nothing. Inflation will only get worse, I feel. Yeah, it's sounding that way. The housing market's another one I want to get into tonight. Um, it's I got a feeling that this next year, 2024, is going to be a little rougher for people. But we're going to get into that. Bob Boom coming in. Greetings from Yarmouth. And again, I'm not going to confuse that with Dartmouth this week. Bob, welcome into the stream. Great to see you. Angela jumping in. It's disturbing to see the comments about Danielle on Twitter. I just don't understand the hatred of her. Well, again, Angela, the problem with Danielle that people have is that she's winning. And anytime you're doing anything good, once you've got haters, you know you've made it. That's at least what I always say. Anytime I get pushback, aside from my really bad math skills, which we saw earlier this week, God, I will tell people this. I did apply for a job with the federal government because clearly I know how to balance a budget with the horrible math that I had in my video talking about the money being used on apps and stuff. But aside from those comments, anytime I get the negative ones, it just tells me that we're winning. People get angry when they're put in their place, and unfortunately for Danielle, she's going to see those comments, but she should be happy with them because it usually means she's doing the right thing. Amnesty jumping into the stream. How you doing? Welcome into the stream. Good to see you. Amnesty, of course, a friend of the channel and a friend of Clyde Do Somethings who comes into our streams. Always good to see her in here. Where are we getting in? Landlocked Newfie is in the stream as well. Welcome in. Good to see you. Sanjay, welcome into the stream as well. Great to see you in here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Patty saying, just because periodic fasting is good for you, I don't like being forced into it, though I like seeing my abs after 20 years. You know, I could probably do with some periodic fasting myself. But yeah, getting forced into it isn't always the greatest thing. M Suave coming in Bayfield, Ontario. Welcome into the stream. Gina as well. Welcome into the stream. Great to see you. Michelle coming in. Welcome into the stream. Great to see you, Michelle. Let's see, how much does it cost to replace a Tesla battery when it craps out? Well, and I'm assuming you're being sarcastic, but I've heard it's upwards of $20,000 or some out of this world number like that. Again, like I said, not the solution, but it's we're taking the what is it they say that the longest journey begins with the first step. It's let's see who else we can get in here. Paladin Cray coming in. Where's the proof that man-made global warming is real? Well, there really isn't any, unless you want to talk to Al Gore. I'm sure he could tell you a thing or two. It's Chillaxin coming into the stream. Welcome in. Great to see you. It's Rhea jumping in as well. Great to see you in the stream. You need copper, silver, and gold to buy any electrical power. Mining with electric bulldozers. There you go. Yeah, it would never happen. Shell family, Peter Lougheed. I'm related. There you go. Hey, well, that's always a good thing, I guess. When you look at the profiles of the users protesting pro-NDP and anti-Danielle Smith, you realize they're losers. Most of those profiles usually begin with a flag in their bio, or a what is it? They're I don't want to say their gender. What is it? People said their pronouns. So he's got their pronouns. There's I see. I can't even remember the term because I think they're so silly. It's Ken's in the stream. Welcome in, Ken. Great to see you. Good to see you in the stream. Thank you for joining us tonight. Um, do Tesla vehicles have traditional hydraulic brakes, or are they using some new system? I have no idea. I haven't really looked into Teslas because here's the thing. I don't like looking at things I can't afford because I started thinking about them and going, hey, that would be great. But at the same time, it's like I couldn't do it. Now, I've always in Calgary, I've seen Teslas around because at one point our mall got a Tesla dealership, which was really weird. I always thought that was bizarre for a shopping mall to have a Tesla dealership in it. And since then, it's moved out and gotten its own dealer. But with Teslas, like I don't see them around Calgary too often. I'm starting to see them a little more than I used to. But again, part of the problem with an electrical vehicle when you live in a place that gets minus 30 temperatures in the winter. Now, Calgary doesn't get minus 30 all the time. Usually, what I find every year, and who knows with this climate change, it could change. But I find that in Calgary we get like the minus 20 to minus 30 for about 2 to 3 weeks out of the winter, and then we get a lot of Chinook winds that come in and melt the snow and keep things at a mild between minus 10 to minus 20 range for the remainder of it. Um, so with Teslas, you're not always going to get that full charge in the winter when you plug in a vehicle. If you live somewhere like Saskatchewan or Manitoba or even Ontario, where you see a lot of that minus 30 stuff, you're only going to get about, they say, about a 60% charge rate when you plug in your vehicles. So if you're trying to run those vehicles in the wintertime, you're not going to have the mileage that you're used to having in warmer summer months. However, when I went to Vancouver last year, a lot of people driving Teslas. That was probably the first time where I'd seen a vast majority of people driving Teslas. Now, again, in a city where the average home is $2 to $3 million, it doesn't surprise me that people are driving Teslas, but the weather there actually permits the use of a Tesla. Um, my family and I were playing the Tesla game as we were driving around because the one thing we found funny was it felt like we were driving through Beverly Hills because every car, like you didn't see a lot of Fords or a lot of GMCs or anything like that on the road. It was always Tesla, Land Rover, BMW, Audi, like, but the majority were Teslas. It was crazy. What happens if the government goes against the Supreme Court decision? That's a good question. So essentially, they can't, right? But it's going to be interesting again to see what happens. Should they try to? Because they said in that article, well, they're going to amend a few things, but the decision is final. It is our jurisdiction. So it's going to be interesting. And again, people have talked about Wexit. People have talked about bringing out the Sovereignty Act. And look, we've seen clearly that Danielle Smith isn't going to back down. She's not going to all of a sudden concede to the federal government and say, "Okay, I'm sorry. We pushed a little too far. We'll fall in line." That's more Jason Kenney's, or Fat Stalin, as I call him, his principles. But with Danielle Smith, hey, she's riding on her own merits, and I think she's doing a bang up job. People were actually polling last week because it was the anniversary of her 1 year being sworn in as Alberta Premier. Because again, as Jason Kenney stepped down, she took over for a short period of time before her full mandate came through last May. So it's um, it's interesting when people ask, do you think she's doing a good job? And there was a lot of people that were kind of neutral on the scale. I'm on the other side where I believe she's done a great job because while I don't get into the education side of things in this province or the healthcare things, because again, there's a lot of union stuff involved when it comes to healthcare that's separate from provincial politics. Um, in terms of policy, I think Danielle Smith has done an amazing job. What I really like again is that she's fallen through with everything she promised she was going to do, and then a little bit more. And when she's received pushback, she's stood her ground, which is very refreshing to see from a politician. Um, it's not really something you see a lot of these days. We're all equal, but what about morals? Well, that's the $1 million questions. Daniel saying "goat." That's the greatest of all time. If you haven't heard that term before, um, finally got Alberta CFO response. 8 to 12 months wait already. Legal firearms owner permit renewals. At the time, Albertans are waiting for their full to fill their freezers due to high food costs. This is a low blow. So, Funis, I actually have a video coming tomorrow about the gun grab in Canada. It looks like the amnesty for gun owners has been extended to 2025. So it's going to be interesting again to see what's going on with that. I think that the government's been pushed into a corner as their poll numbers continue to plummet. Um, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy to see again. I think the next couple of weeks are going to be very interesting in the federal landscape when it comes to Canada's politics, and we'll be bringing um, Winter Fresh beats Trudeau. I don't see no win. Well, again, I guess art's open into interpretation. Now, winning in the Supreme Court is something that nobody thought we were going to do. Anytime you go to the Supreme Court, much like if you did the Supreme Court in the United States, the judges are usually stacked, and it's very difficult to convince them to listen to the opposing sides. So with Danielle Smith, when you're going to Ottawa and these are judges that were appointed by Liberals, you assume that they're going to side with the Liberal Party of Canada and their policies. So to say that we've beaten Trudeau, yes, we have. We've been told that this No More Pipelines bill is unconstitutional and that we're allowed to go to work essentially because it's a provincial matter. Suzanne's jumping into the stream. Suzanne, great to see you. Zylo's in here as well. Welcome back into the stream, Zylo. Always great to see you in here. Lauren, who could win in a fight, Justin or Danielle? Look, I'd put my money on anybody if it was against Justin. The guy, he spends more time hiding under his blankets than putting up a fight. Um, Alberta's looking to get out of the CPP program and starting their own pension plan. Yes, and we've talked about that before, Gina, on the channel. Again, I think that's another thing that's beneficial. What I like about Danielle's politics and what I really like about what she's bringing to the table is that she's looking at what the feds are doing with our money. And that's one thing that people tend to forget is that when we talk about tax dollars, even as a business owner, when I pay my income tax, it's not just income tax. I pay provincial tax, I pay federal tax. Every business does. When you guys get your paychecks, you're paying into those things. You pay your property taxes. You pay tax on top of your tax. And what I mean by that is that when you're done paying your income tax on your paycheck, you go and buy food, you buy gasoline, you buy clothing, your entertainment, and it's all taxed with GST. So you're being taxed on top of tax. And all of these dollars funnel their ways into your municipal government, their federal government, and their provincial government. And anytime you see Justin Trudeau on his luxury plane jet setting around the world, blowing all of his carbon, when you see Doug Ford making cheesecake in his kitchen, those are all things that are paid by the common taxpayer. So what Danielle Smith has done is she's looking at the ruthless spending that's going on in our government and saying, look, people aren't able to retire anymore. There's government talking about increasing the retirement age to 75 because when they set it at 65 with the pension plan, they weren't counting on people living for as long as they have been, and they don't have the money to pay out these pensions because they've been spending money like there's no tomorrow. So what Danielle's talking about doing is, listen, let's break away from that, and you guys can pay less to get the benefits that they're currently offering. Um, and if we're going to charge you more, you're going to get more. And I don't think that's such a bad thing. I don't think giving back to the people that are paying into something is necessarily a horrible thing. There's been a lot of pushback of people saying, leave my pension alone. But I don't think they realize the actual benefits that can come from something like that. And while I can respect their opinion, some of those people have been around a lot longer than I have. So I'll say, hey, to each their own when it comes to those policies. But in terms of Alberta getting its own pension plan and being separate from the federal government, I'm all for it. I think it's fantastic. I've often said the same thing with my mayoral run that when you look at taxes, especially property taxes and fees in this city, we charge people at an 11 and we give them a 3. And that's essentially what the Canada Pension Plan is doing. You pay and pay and pay and pay your whole life, and then you're given next to nothing and told to live on it when the time comes to retire. You're looked onto to say you should be making your own investments. You should be doing savings. You should get your RSPs in order, GICs, any of that stuff that you want to do. That's all your responsibility because we give you so little when it comes time for you to retire, and that you've paid into a program that's essentially only going to give you a fraction back of what you've paid. So I don't see the issues. if they're going to do it right, I don't see the issues with bringing in our own pension plan. When you finally die and get out of here, they take tax off your kids to get from your estate. Yes, there's death taxes. There's capital gains taxes. There's I mean, look, I seen it. I seen the breakdown when my mother passed away. All these fees and taxes and dues that were owed to the government just for passing away. It's ridiculous. I mean, what do they say? Everything. No, the only two things that are inevitable are death and taxes. And it's funny that taxes comes after death in that saying, because you're still paying tax even when you're gone. It's Alberta's the province to watch. It is, and well, it is in the sense that things are either going to go good or they're going to go real bad. But we'll see. We'll see. My mother's estate was taxed $65,000. My God. And Trudeau spends that for half of a weekend in Montana. That's ridiculous. CPP does not scale with real world inflation. And that's again part of the problem. I've said that in Calgary that that's part of the problem. My wife with her job. Now, I've been out of the workforce for about 5 years. Now I'm self-employed. I do again, it's no surprise. Everybody knows I do my books, I do YouTube. I do a bunch of other things in order to have a side income while helping raise my three children at home while my wife goes to her job. My wife has been in the oil and gas business for over 20 years, and people that work in her industry are seeing like 2010 wages while everything has shot up. And every year, like clockwork, when people in the company say, are we getting a raise? Can we get a raise to battle the inflation, to battle the high cost of living? Can we we need more money for what we're doing? Because all these corporate um I guess overlords, we'll call them. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it. The guys at the top are all getting their bonuses. They're buying their 16th house, their third, truck for their son. Um, they're living large and getting all these bonuses while the people below are saying we're doing all the work and getting nothing for it. And the employer comes back and says, here, we're going to give you a 3% increase. Um, and that's all you get for the next 2 years or something. And you look at that and start going, well, that doesn't really amount to anything. That's not going to fix our problems. That's not going to make life affordable. Um, Again, either prices need to come down or companies need to get a grip. I remember it was less than a decade ago when if somebody told me they made $100,000 a year, you'd sit back and go, wow, they must be living pretty comfortably. They must be able to go on vacation at least once a year. They must have money to put their kids in sports programs and extracurricular activities and food in the fridge, and their bills are always paid. Nowadays, if you tell people you make $100,000, it's basically saying we live check to check. If you have the average mortgage, car payment, you throw in your property taxes, your cell phone bills, your groceries. And the reason by saying that is that this household, with what I take in terms of payouts from my business and what my wife makes, we live check to check and we are a six-figure income. And that's just enough money. Now, granted, we did go on vacations this year. We've done a few things. But if you put those things out of the mix, because we don't do those every year, um, with what we've paid out versus what we're bringing in, it's just enough that we can pay our bills and not have anybody coming to collect. That's ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. People need to start being paid either what their jobs are worth or the price of things have to come down. Capital drain tax. If you want to retire well, win the lotto, or get into politics, well, you work for the city or the government. I mean, they're the only ones that seem to have good pensions these days. It's the government gains interest on your taxes for absolutely they do. RSP is tax deferred. TFSA is tax free. Yes, that's very true. Um, it's crazy. I'm getting clawed over here. We had part of our weekend, and part of what made our weekend was interesting. We got a new family member that I'll share on stream because I'm getting harassed over here. Um, It's always nice to take away stress at the home, and my daughter's been bugging me for a cat for the longest time. We used to have a cat before our last cat passed away, and then we acquired a dog into our household. But my wife has always been or my daughter was about 4 years old when our cat passed away, and now she's 9. She wanted a new cat, so we have acquired a new family member today. This tiny little potato that this this uh this new family member that joined our household this weekend. I'm keeping her with me because she's still getting used to the house, and of course we have a dog that she's not too fond of. So we're keeping her around the house and with me so that she can find her way to her litter box and get around the house. So it looks like she's made a home on my shoulder and will be spending the rest of the stream with me. This is our newest family member, Loki, and rightfully so. She's quite mischievous, and well, it's nice to have a new family member. It's things like this that sometimes take away that stress and those pressures that you have in life by saying that, hey, there are good things that can come around once in a while. And oh, there she goes. I've been trying to do videos for this week, and she's been sleeping in this drawer that's at the end of my desk. But anytime she's still got a little bit of separation anxiety from leaving her mother. She's only 6 weeks old, so she's very small. She's about the size of my hand, my very pudgy hand. But she if you don't touch her for a certain period of time, she'll start clawing at you and need to be by your side. It's um it's all Master of Snatch's fault because he got kittens and started sending pictures. So of course, my family starts getting ideas that we need to get a cat, and that's so our family's expanded again. Um, Lauren saying, "Are you a cat or a dog person?" I'm both. I grew up in a house where we always had cats and a dog. At one point, we had two dogs, but they just couldn't get along together. Cats, it's a lot easier. So, usually in our house, we always had two cats and one dog. So I'm a little bit of both. I love having animals. I think that they're great. I think that they're wonderful when it comes to stress. After having a bad day, it's always nice to have, a cat come sit on your lap, asking for some attention, or even the dog needing to go for, a run, get you out of the house, breathe a little bit, reflect on everything, and kind of get a break. It's it's always fun. You're welcome, says Snatch. There you go. I have a parrot. I'm exotic. You know what? I so when I took my family to Disneyland on our horrible, horrible decision to go there on a holiday, I ran into this guy outside the front gates, and some people commented when I posted the photo that it's a scam because these guys stand outside the gates with their parrots, and you pay them to take pictures or whatever. I paid the guy because I thought it was really unique, and my son was really excited to see this giant macaw parrot up close and personal. Um, and I appreciated the guy's time. He took multiple pictures for us, and it was a cool experience for my son to be able to hold those birds. But I've always wanted a parrot, but I've been told they can live upwards of over 100 years, and that's quite the commitment. Whereas a cat or a dog, you're getting 10 to 15, um, 20 if you're lucky. Um, I have family members that have a tortoise, and I know that's quite the commitment in terms of the length that they live for. But cats and dogs have always been in my house. I wanted to get an iguana at one point when I first moved out in my 20s. A friend of mine had an iguana for sale, and I almost got an iguana. But I've been told that they take a lot of commitment. And at the age of 20, I was out at the bars. I was out having fun. I didn't want to rob an animal of their needs. So I didn't. I didn't end up getting an iguana. I've had a Rottie for 11 years. We unfortunately had to put him down. I'm sorry to hear that. A lot of people give Rottweilers a bad rap, and I've always said it's the owners that make bad animals, not the animals themselves. Jennifer jumping in. I have two cats. Yeah, see, cats are great. They're wonderful. As long as your cat or dog doesn't decide to identify as taxpayer, it's all good. There you go. I'll put them to work. That's for sure. If they can bring in some extra income, that's always a good thing. Um, Who loves you more, your wife or your dog? Lock them both in your trunk and see who's excited to see you when you open the trunk. I can tell you right now, it would be my dog. My wife doesn't mess around when it comes to that stuff. She would not be happy to see me. She'd be more happy to see an open trunk so she could get the hell out of there. I guarantee you. She'd get out of the trunk, she'd can me, and then she'd steal the vehicle and leave me hanging. It's that's right. Look at this one, Xylo, 7 cats and 3 dogs. Jeez. Um, I'm sure you take very good care of them, but I can't imagine the smell. I had so when we had um or when we got our dog um from our breeder. This so our dog is a half basset hound, half healer, blue healer. Um this lady breeds basset hounds. She had 2 basset hounds. She also had a blue healer. And this was an oops pregnancy. The male healer jumped on the female basset and they ended up having this litter. So this lady, when she was getting rid of these dogs, it was just look, pay for the food and the first vet bill. We're not going to charge you what we charge for the purebreds. And our dog's adorable. I love our dog. Um, but when you went over to her home, to get the dogs, you could smell the pets. Like the house was very clean and these were very nice people, but you could smell the animals when you walked in. I can't imagine what a house with 7 cats and 3 dogs smells like. But it's always good to hear people love their animals. Like I don't know if this is real or a troll. We have 16 cats and 1 basset hound. My God. I hope that's a troll. Dear God. Jasper jumping into the chat. Welcome in, Jasper. How you doing? Dogs are the best. Dogs are great. I can't tell you how much I love my dog. That again, if you're having one of those days where you're just at your peak and the dog looks at you like, hey, get off your ass and let's go for a walk. And I'll tell you, an hour out of the house to clear your head, seeing a dog with its tongue sticking out, happy to see you. At least somebody's happy to see you. It's a good thing. I love my dog. But this new cat, I mean, she's there. She's latching onto my arm already. Absolutely adorable. Um, my 9-year-old is ecstatic because again, she's about the size of a potato at 6 weeks old, and she says, "Well, I can't wait to do all these great things with her." And I keep reminding her, "Look, that cat's going to get bigger." That's the funny thing is that when you bring home a pet like this, the novelty is always look how small she is and look how tiny and cute the cat is. And then, after a couple of months, they grow up and there she's clawing me again. I'll let her come back. The novelty wears off, and the parents are often left to look after. To look after the problems, but or the vet bills and everything else that comes with it. It's That's crazy. 16 rescue cats and a basset. We lost our female basset. I'm sorry to hear that. Get a farm. Had 30 cats, 4 dogs, 4 horses. Okay, well, if you're on a farm, I get it. I get it. It's Billy says my cat identifies as my dog. There you go. Always fun. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where things go this week. It's going to be with that decision on Friday. I know that Justin Trudeau hasn't really said much in terms of the Supreme Court's ruling. So it's gonna be really interesting to see and hear what he has to say about Alberta. I know Stephen Guilbeault is probably fuming because he goes to China and he doesn't want to tell China how to reduce their emissions, but he'll yell at Alberta when we only contribute about 2% of the world's carbon. Um, it's um, it's insane. It's going to be crazy, and it's going to be a crazy week. We'll be reporting on all those things. Um, I do want to remind everybody that geez, the subscribers in this last week, it's been crazy. I just posted last week that we had 9,000 subs, and now I think within about the next 24 hours, we'll be posting that we have 10,000 subs. It's been insane. We're about to turn into a large fringe majority here on the channel, and I can't thank people enough. I think it's been fantastic to see the positive feedback on all the videos. Again, aside from my slip up in math this week, that was a long day. One of the benefits now to having my kids at school, um, while being at home with my youngest toddler, is that if something breaks, I can now put a video together and get onto YouTube very quickly. So when I put out those videos last week, I think we had 3 that day or something. It was crazy. I now see how Jasper's schedule works because again, he does his House of Canada channel and he's got his main Mr. Sunshine Baby channel, and tons of videos when it comes to question period, when it comes to opinion pieces and commentary. I don't know how he does it because after 3 videos, my brain was shot and I couldn't get my math together. But we've just had this influx of subs, and I think at the time we were less than 50, I think 50 subs away from uh from 10,000. I could be wrong. Let me take a peek at that. Oh, sorry, we're 65 out from hitting 10,000. So if you're watching the stream or if you're watching it after the stream, if you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, make sure to smack it. Become a subscriber on the channel so that again, if we're censored, as these bills keep ramping up, this is how you're going to get your information is by checking in on the channel. YouTube tends to hide things in their algorithm, and I'll find that where I'll drop a video and it'll take off really quick and it'll start to get out there. And then some videos that are on the same subject, I'll post and they'll do very poorly. And I don't know if that's YouTube hiding it in the algorithm or if people are just done with, the Justin Trudeau show here on the channel. It feels like every video I do talks about Justin Trudeau, like I have some kind of sick fetish with Justin Trudeau. The problem when it comes to Justin Trudeau is that calling out his bullshit and his nonsense is just so easy. And it seems to be what my viewers are interested in. So when it comes to other topics, I try to find interesting topics where I can that we can try and keep people's interest levels peaked. But at the same time, this is where the news is right now, and I kind of feel like we have to cover um, what's happening. It's going to be things are really going to get crazy as the year goes on. 1 million March for Children on Ottawa on October 21st. Yes, I know there's another march coming up. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Um, I'm not. I'm curious because it's on a weekend this time. Like there was an okay turnout, um, even in Calgary. Like we had maybe about 2,000, 3,000 people at the protest in Calgary. And now that it's on a weekend, I'm curious if we're going to see more people there next weekend. It's Dano saying Trudeau's unavoidable. Absolutely. Um, You had 2,000 or 3,000 for quite a while, then 5,000 forever. Glad to see the BS stop. Yeah, Patty, you know what it was? I'll be honest. I wasn't putting as much time and effort into things when I was at that level where I'd kind of get my videos out. My thumbnails were in rough shape. There's a lot to learn about YouTube when it comes to how to work on this platform and how to stand out from other channels and get people involved. And there were people that, again, when we were at the 2,000, 3,000 level, were saying you should have a lot more subs than what you currently have. And I'm happy people enjoy the content, but in terms of putting yourself out there, it does take a little bit of research and time. But once that snowball gets rolling down the hill, it tends to grow very quickly. I've been very grateful to have advice on hand from peers in the community when it comes to um, other YouTubers that I keep in touch with. Always helpful that they've always been there. That if I have a question, they'll answer it, or if I need some advice, they're there to give it. Um, I've got some really good friends on Discord that I can always run ideas past. They've been helpful, and they'll pass on story ideas saying you should cover this or talk about that. So as time goes on, I think things are going to get better on this channel. I think things are always going to be improving. Nothing is ever set in stone, and the need to constantly improve just means that you're always going to have a good product to offer to people. So I'm very appreciative of everybody who's joined the channel and everybody who's stuck around. I always say that even if we had 100 subscribers, there's 24 hours in a day, and people have valuable things to do with their time. And if I put out a 10-minute or 15 or 20-minute video, people come and watch those videos and give me 20 minutes out of their day. That's flattering enough alone to know that I'm doing something worthwhile, that somebody's interested in what I have to say for those 20 minutes when they could be spending it elsewhere. So I'm definitely grateful for everybody who comes in, who watches the content. It's um it's going to be an interesting ride. I will say now, careful with that March and October. This is false flags happen. First time had too many eyes on it this time, or behind fascism, C11 or C16. Yeah, I don't know if I'll make it to the next March in Calgary, just because there's a few things going on that weekend that I may not be able to cover those things, but I've heard a lot of the same warnings. Um, Going to be interesting to see what's going on. The Celtic Canuck joining in. Again, Celtic Canuck makes some amazing content. She put together my mayoral announcement video and did a bang up job. And I can't say enough good things about her channel. Guys, go check her out if you haven't already. Get over there, drop a sub, and check out her videos. She's got fantastic videos in terms of her research. Can't say enough good things. But great to see you in the chat. Celtic Canuck, welcome in. Um, Derek saying the more it grows, the faster it grows. I've been seeing that on quite a few channels. Yours is well on its way. I appreciate that, Derek, and I appreciate you hanging out here again. Great to see you in here. Celtic, you make great content. More importantly, you're likable. Everyone in here feels like you're a friend because of the time they've spent with you. I appreciate the comment. I try to be as transparent as I can with people, and some people tell me that's a bad thing. Don't be too personal on YouTube. Don't let people in very much. You have to kind of just give them what they need and then get out. And I've always said, especially if I'm running for a public office, even in a municipal setting, I want people to feel that I'm one of you, that I'm not anything special. And when I say that, I've said that a million times over, that just because I'm running in that position, or I've had some success in work projects, doesn't mean I'm up on a pedestal. We're all the same. We're all people trying to get their messages out, get our grievances out. I've just been fortunate enough that people are interested to hear me projecting everyone's grievances for you all to hear. So anytime I'm doing a video or talking, I try to be as transparent as I can, while also trying to get out your frustrations, because that's what's important at the end of the day. We're all Canadians and we all need to stand together. We're all in this together. Um, in the words of Justin Trudeau, we've got your backs. And I think things are going to be great. So, look, Xylo jumped in right away. I'm going to be busy playing Spider-Man 2. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to that one. But work comes first. it's um, it's going to be great. Carrie saying you tell it like it is. Well, I think that's the way to do it. And I think that's one thing that frustrates me when you look at certain news outlets, is even the ones that I enjoy. It's look, we need your help. We need donations. We need like, come read our articles, but give us, $15 a month to read our articles. And I'm not disagreeing that people need to be paid. People got to keep the lights on. I just, after a while, it starts to wane on me that some people complain in my videos saying, look, you made a 15-minute video where you could have done it in 2 minutes. Well, that's not really the way YouTube works. Like, being part of a social commentator means that I give my opinion, we talk about things, and while we still get the story out, there's a little more to it than just stating what's going on. Um, but when it comes to those outlets that, you know, a lot of it's clickbait these days, and you go in and it just starts to get tired after a while, that I'd rather provide something and give people what they want while still being approachable and enjoyable at the same time. It's um it's crazy. If I see you live, I think, sure, I can take a break and hang out with Derek. I'm sure it's the same for others. Hey, that's great. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. If you just watch YouTube all day and focus on negative stuff, you'll get miserable and hopeless very fast. I agree. I agree with that. My wife yells at me for that all the time, because that's mostly what I watch. You need to balance your real life perspective instead of to get caught in echo chambers. Yes, absolutely. Look, Funis nailed it on the head there. That's an amazing comment, actually. If you want mindless 2 minutes video, you got to go to TikTok. Yeah, well, and it's funny because I got a comment about that last week and said the same thing, that if you're wanting, I think it was when I was talking about the $54 million on the app, and they said, well, it took you 7 minutes to get to the point. And I said, look, if you want a 2 minute recap, go to TikTok or Instagram Reels, or maybe look for people's posts on Twitter, because this is social commentary. That's what we do here. Topics of Trudeau is daily. Yeah, and that's again, like I've said before, I hate covering Trudeau all the time. Part of the problem with YouTube, and again, I'm not going to put anything on my community because again, you guys have 24 hours in a day, and how you spend it is how you spend it. Um, when I try to put out other videos, the problem is like you'll notice. Well, before my CNN video got pulled last week, um, for misinformation, even though I was covering a meme. Uh, we anytime I cover something other than Justin Trudeau or politics, YouTube's algorithm stops um, putting me out there for other people to see because they go, "Oh, this is a different category he's broadcasting in now. It's not the same old thing. We don't know if people are going to like it." This is why I say it's so important in my videos to hit that bell for notifications. Anytime I'm looking at my statistics on YouTube, it's telling me that only something like 7% of our subscribers have their notification bell on. So when a new video drops, they're not notified. And again, if they go onto YouTube, where and I've done it with other channels, I don't necessarily have my bell clicked from a lot of channels that I watch, but when I go onto YouTube, usually if I watch a channel frequently, it just automatically shows up in my feed if they've put out a new video, even if I'm subscribed. The problem is if I cover a different topic, it's not going to show up there. So it's always important turn on your bell so that when we do those videos, I can start covering a more wide array of things and get more content out there for you guys. I'd love to cover those things. It's just difficult because when you put work into those videos, and you get like 300 views versus your 20,000 that you normally do, YouTube starts punishing you almost. And it's not that I'm ungrateful, but YouTube kind of kicks you out when you do those things. So it's more pandering to YouTube, and it sucks. it's but it's not on the community. I'm not trying to make it sound like that's on the community. It's crazy times. It's Canadian politics, though. He's the PM. He's going to be the focus a lot of the time. Absolutely. Yeah. And you got it there. It's really good and disturbing. The powers that be never and will never give anything about you. Yeah, I agree. I said C16. I meant C11 and the ones of the internet safety. Oh, it's all good. All good. Maryland, we don't use YouTube. There you go. Just a reminder, folks, next Sunday's stream, we'll be doing a giveaway on the channel. I haven't brought it up in other weeks because I didn't want to push too hard on it, but it's just a reminder for anybody who wanted to get into it. Our newest book, The Young Kid's Guide to Grooming, which you can see with the silver pen kind of reflecting on the front, has been signed. This is the very first printed copy of the book. So it's not like the first run. That was the very first copy that was printed of the book. I had that ordered before the book was sent out for production. So it is the very first copy that I have signed. I'll be giving it away. It was more of a thank you to the channel. So we'll be doing a draw for that next Sunday here on the stream on the 21st, or 22nd, I should say. Sorry. Looking forward to that stream. A lot of times people have become members on the channel and they've always said, we just want to support the channel. At the time, with my schedule as full as it is, I haven't had anything to really offer back to the community yet to say, we're going to do like a members only stream or members only discords or anything like that. So this was kind of a way to give back. So in order to get your name into that draw, you must be a member by next Sunday's stream. I'll have a randomizer do a draw live on the stream next weekend, and you must live within North America for shipping. So if you're over in the UK or if you're overseas, unfortunately, I cannot ship to you just because of the costs. But if you're within Canada or the United States, and you're a member, when we draw that, again, you are eligible automatically. You don't have to do anything but become a member of the channel. And it's not required. I do not, this isn't me begging for memberships. This is just me saying I wanted to give something back. And I thought that would be a fun way to give something back to the community by putting something up for grabs. So if anybody wants to get in that draw, this week is your last opportunity. Again, just as a reminder, you must be a member of the channel at the time of the drawing. And I look forward to that, and looking forward to getting that to somebody. It's going to be a fun one. Rumble, Truth Social, Getter, and no Facebook and YouTube for our podcast. I've heard about Rumble, Truth Social. I've been told are good platforms. The problem I have with Rumble is they just don't have things set up that make it easy to find content yet. They're always improving, and I hope things go well for Rumble. I am working on mirroring my content over there at some point soon. So I'll be getting that over. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to read the comments here because there's some risky ones I can't put up in the chat here as we move forward. But content will be there. I'm getting mauled again. Content will be mirrored at some point, and I think it's good to get out to other platforms at some point and expand our horizons a little bit here on the channel. But that's probably going to Lauren saying, God bless you and your family. Well, same to you. Thank you very much for coming out onto the stream again. I appreciate it. That's going to wrap things up for this stream. We've gone just over our hour, ladies and gents. Be on the lookout for new content tomorrow. Again, I'll be discussing what's going on in the political realm. Again, Justin Trudeau with the gun grab. We're going to have more this week in terms of the housing market I want to get into. I wanted to get into that in the stream and we ran out of time because I was talking about cats and other things, pesky cats. Sun and Dagger with a $3 super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Any support is always appreciated. Really appreciate it. Again, never required, but definitely appreciated. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you guys have a safe week. I know there's been a lot of threats with these protests going around that harm is going to come to this way with people. I hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody stays safe and has a good week at their jobs, and hopefully there's nothing too crazy that happens in terms of putting the good people of this country down. I'll definitely be throwing out videos whenever I can this week. And I look forward to bringing those to you guys. And I hope you enjoy what we bring forward. Again, just a reminder, hit that subscribe button, guys, if you're in and haven't done it yet. We're so close to 10,000. I'd love to see it get hit soon. Definitely going to happen before Halloween. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next Sunday here when we do our draw on the stream. I hope you guys have a great week again. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.